And so I don't ever worry about holding stuff close to the vest because my ideas aren't worth anything. It's the experience and execution of those ideas together that makes the experience worth paying for.
One of the things, I know we hear this a lot, as creatives, we have to sell our services. You build that narrative, you pitch it, but there's a fine line between selling yourself, which involves kind of opening up the kimono, throwing some of the, wetting the palate, throwing some ideas out, and losing your idea in the process to the client. So how do you, I guess the question would then become, how do you provide valuable ideas without losing those ideas in part of the sales process?
Great question. Great question. I think it's a misconception that your ideas actually mean anything. Like they actually have value.
Right? No. I know there's a lot of people that are going, what? No, let's say that again.
Let me recontextualize it into a simpler statement. Your ideas aren't valuable.
Ideas aren't valuable. They're meaningless.
Even shorter. Ideas are not valuable. Execution on those ideas are valuable. Mm-hmm. And so I never worry about giving everything away. Actually, that's one of my secrets to my success. One of the secrets to my success with my clients is I give them more than they'd ever want, more than they'd ever need. Even in that initial discovery conversation where we're just talking about the overview and the 8,000 foot view of this project, what some of the implications are here, some of the constraints, here's some of the dependencies, here's some of the risks. Yeah, we're talking at this high level. But
you're coming in open-handed as much as possible.
I come in and I say,
you're just like,
I'm going to give you everything I got and you ain't getting charged for none of it right now. But I tell you, if you want to take this journey, if you want to do this and it's going to be fun and exciting and we're going to create something out of it and maybe you can get a promotion out of it, whatever intrinsically or internally motivates you to do this, you're going to get to do it with me. So you could do it with Joe Blow,
right? Or
you could do it with me. Mm-hmm. And so I gave you all these ideas. I opened the kimono, as you said. I gave you all these ideas. Yeah, sure, take them. Go try to execute those with Joe Blow. Have fun with that. Mm-hmm. Even the only way for you to fully experience all that I've given you for free is you got to do it with me. I'm the guy. Right. And so I don't ever worry about holding stuff close to the vest because my ideas aren't worth anything. It's the experience and execution of those ideas together that makes the experience worth paying for.
At some point, there's a contract. So you've pitched these ideas, they're free, and you got to spill that over now into, let's get this train started to get this show on the road. So how do you seamlessly make that happen? Are you there firing them up and selling them and they're like, man, we're ready, let's do this? And you're like, great, here's the contract? Or you're like, my agent will be in touch, or my assistant, or how's that flow work? And then what would you say? I mean, I'll tell you, there's a lot of questions I know in the creative field swirling around contracts. A lot of what people do is based on just a trust and a handshake. Some of it, as it rightfully should be, is based on the written word and a common foundational understanding that protects both parties in that result. For you, what's the process?
The process is as light as I possibly can make it, which is, this is what we've talked about. This is what we've talked about. This is what we've discussed. These are the things that we want to execute upon, and this is the potential outcome.
And how quick are you delivering that understanding in paper?
It's usually a 1 or 2 pager.
No. I mean, how soon after the idea session, they're all the hoorah, you go home within 48 hours they get it?
Easily
next week?
Within 48 hours. Okay. Most likely within 12 hours. I'll send them, hey, because if you're selling something, you want to do
strike while the iron's hot.
Strike while the iron's hot. You want to do momentum selling, right? There's momentum in their emotions, there's momentum towards the project. They're all jazzed up, they're excited, they're just coming down from the emotional high, they're getting home, you want to re-engage that psyche. You want to re-engage their brain and say, hey, this is so important to me. I have to get this back to you as soon as possible. Yeah, it's a light framework. It's a light contract of what we've talked about. We can iterate through it if you want. But given this is what we've talked about, this is what we expect, right? This is the price. I want to get that in their hands as soon as possible so that there's enough emotional context that when they hit the price, they will be less sticker shock. If I
you discuss the price in the idea session too, or no? The first time they're seeing it is on the contract.
No, I bring it up in the beginning. I say this is what,
because I've heard many times from very successful other creatives or business leaders that you want to discuss price up front and
Yes,
often,
absolutely.
up front and often, because
Absolutely.
otherwise there's this huge like, oh, what? I had no
Yes,
idea. Like we
absolutely.
just so
Well, in most of the conversations that I have, it is here's the price. Now I have the next half hour to 45 minutes to prove to you that it's going to be worth it, and that's on that. The onus is on me.
So you lead with the cost.
Oh
or
yeah,
price.
this like, oh holy crap, Peter, this is really expensive for what we're thinking about. It's like, yes, now walk with me. Journey with me over the next 30, 45 minutes, and let me tell you why it's going to be worth it, right? And so for me, and that's just maybe my personality, I actually enjoy that challenge of being able to prove the worth or the aesthetic worth of the price that I've given you.
Now you're bringing that price on like in real time, I'm assuming, after you've asked those probing questions and engaged them and shown them that they're interested and you're the guy, and then you probably go, you're probably looking at blank, and they're like, what? Well, let's talk, and then that's how I'm assuming it to be.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You obviously you want to build some relationship with them, some rapport before you slap them with the price.
Sure.
And so there's part of that discovery that you have with them. But through that discovery, you say, hey, based on my experiences, based on what you're telling me, this is going to be what it's going to be about. And what that means is it's going to be a 5-day engagement or a 2-day engagement or 1-day boot camp or what have you. And this is going to be the price point. And if they reel back, and they're just shocked, then that gives me the next 30 minutes to prove that it's worth that price, or to be able to answer any questions or risks or issues that they might have with that. But you want to move away from the price conversation as quickly as possible.
Yep.
You want to get them back into, here's the experience that we're going to have together. Because that's where human connection is really made. That's where life is really experienced. It's not at the contract level. It's at now we've gotten all that out of the way, the contract's out of the way. Now we get to hit the ground running. Our boots are on the ground. We're working together and we're having a fun time doing it.
So do you walk through when you deliver the contract, do you walk through that in person or over the phone, or you just send it off?
I usually just send it off because generally there's enough context when what we've talked about previously that if they have any questions, then we can go through them. But the art of selling is storytelling.
Absolutely.
And you want to move away from the bare knuckle, very clinical contract stuff as fast as possible, because that just kills momentum when you're talking about it.
Right. So what do you build in enough price to just handle some scope creep, or what happens when scope creep kicks in? If additional, do you go?
It's always time and materials. It's here's the initial contract. Anything that changes beyond the contract or the expectations of the contract is going to be a day rate or whatever.
And you remind them of that, or you just say nope at the end of the.
It's in a clause.
Yeah, but you don't have so if they call up with a new thing, you don't say, well, it's going to be extra.
No.
You just go, sure, and you just do it, and then later on they get the bill and they're like, well, wait, and it was right here. You signed in the.
Yeah, I don't want to have those conversations. It's in the contract stipulations. For an example, one clause I always have is, because I do a lot of training, if you cancel the training within a 7-day period or change the dates, it's a 30%. Just doesn't matter. Even if it was on a Thursday and you moved it to Friday, it's 30% upcharge, bro. Because I have set up other schedules to make sure that this works. And this is the cost of doing business. This is the cost of change. And sometimes I need to remind clients of that, is that there is never, ever a point in history, in anyone's life, that change does not have a cost. I think clients forget that. Clients forget that, hey, they think that, hey, I can make changes at no cost to me. Well, yeah, it might not cost you anything, but it's costing your contractors, your consultants, or your employees, or the people that are working for you. And so sometimes I need to.
Yeah, that's huge. Small point, but huge.
Oh, huge. Customers, clients often forget this nuance, and I have to remind them.
Every change
has a cost.
Yeah.
It's physics, right? It's it's the law of conservation of energy, right? It's when something changes a state here, other things change as well, right? And so to any type of change in an organizational system, there's always going to be a cost. And so likewise, if there's any change to any contracts, there's always a cost. And it's not me trying to, nickel and dime you. It's just the nature of physics. It's the nature of reality. There's always a cost to change. And my cost is 30% or my cost is X. It's a little bit more than maybe your usual fare, but this is what I charge. Is the experience still worth it? And generally it is.